Hello and welcome to the show. I'm your host, Jason Knight, and on each episode of this podcast, I'll be speaking to product managers, product marketers, product designers, founders, and thought leaders. If that sounds like your type of party, why not head over to onenightinproduct.com, sign up to the mailing list or subscribe on your favourite podcast app and make sure you never miss another episode again. On tonight's episode, we follow a software developer who got so frustrated at the usability of the software he was building that he immediately taught himself to be a designer. We follow his long journey from Costa Rica to the People's Republic of China, find out how that's going, and how their startup culture is very, very different to what you'd find in the West. We also talk 3D printing and try to work out if it's really possible to cure all your ills with the magic of light therapy. For all this and much more, please join us on One Night in Product. So my guest tonight is Carlos Lastres. Carlos is a Tedx speaker, product manager and designer who's so committed to design thinking he's covered his body with tattoos, which I'm hoping he designed himself. Carlos grew up in Costa Rica before heading east to China, where he's thrown himself into product management, UX and more, and now looking to make everyone healthier by integrating technology and traditional Chinese medicine. I'm hoping he won't have to take anything to cure a burning sense of disappointment during this interview tonight. Hi Carlos, how are you tonight?
Everything good, Jason. Great introduction, by the way.
It's always important to make people feel excited and wanted on the way in.
That's right.
So first things first, you're the creative and marketing director for Kaiyan Medical out in Shenzhen, China. So what problem does Kaiyan Medical solve for me?
So many years ago, the founder had the first interaction with light therapy. We do light therapy products. So our stories are similar. We, for the first time, see what is light therapy. We tried. At the beginning, we were a little bit skeptical, like, is this really working? And then after a couple of minutes, we were like, wow, it is working. So what we do is we try to heal people without using pills, chemicals, or any invasive way, just shining light directly to the area with pain or the area that doesn't feel comfortable.
But that's something that some people are going to be very skeptical about, like hearing that and thinking, well, what do you mean you can just shine light on things and make it feel better? So is that something that you've got lots of studies that you've done that have shown the effectiveness, or is that something that's like an ongoing process?
Yeah, so I get the idea, but I can say to everybody, when was the last time you went outside and you stay under the sun for a while, right? Nowadays, first, we are always indoors, especially with the COVID. We're in our office, home, etc. And we avoid the sun, right? We use our umbrellas or shadow and so on. Our body evolved to be under the sun and evolved to be in the wilderness. So the first thing is we remove big part of having the sun in our body. So yeah, a lot of clinical studies, FDA products and so on has been involved in why light therapy is good. The idea is that what we do is we take the bad parts that the sun gives in the light, like the UV and so on, and we give you what you need. Most of the times it's red light and infrared that activates the ATP in our cells. So yeah, clinical studies, thousands of them for different reasons, things from Alzheimer to pain relief to wrinkles and then other skin conditions. It's amazing. I mean, I'm a software engineer with a design background and marketing MBA, but I'm working with light therapy because it worked. It was insane. I was like, what is this? I need to teach the people.
So was it like that then? Was it like you saw this working when you were working somewhere else? You kind of got passionate about the opportunities that there were ahead of you and decided to move into this role? I mean, I guess it doesn't sound like this was something that you were seeking out.
Yeah, no, I was called to make a training in design for the company. So I met the CEO and I was like, dude, but that's exactly what you guys do. And then he gave me one of the devices. I was just playing around and I put it on my neck because I had like an injury many years ago playing American football.
Oh, wow.
And then we kept talking about life and stuff. And then suddenly I feel good. I was like, hold on, what's going on? I have tried everything, like 10 years, like holding that pain. And I was like, hold on, what is going on? And then I start to get obsessed. I was like, okay, I need to study more why I feel good. This cannot be like something magic. And then, I start to learn how that red light penetrates your body. The infrared goes even deeper and then reach your bone and muscle, and then just make your body aware that there is a problem. I just try over the years to numb that pain, cover it with painkillers and treatments. But I never actually try to find the reason or try to go to the source. Like therapy is more like, okay, let's go and find what happened. Let's make the body aware of it and let's heal it. Rather than just put some cover on it.
Yeah. Put a plaster on a broken arm.
Exactly.
But your role there is creative and marketing director. So a little bit outside of what I'd expect from someone with a kind of product management, product design background. So what does your role encompass there? I mean, obviously a bit of marketing, I assume, but like with regards to the creative stuff, is that very much along the kind of marketing design, or is that still very heavily focused on product design and supporting the product management and the product development?
Yeah, so after I used the device, I was like, okay, I believe in this. I want to do it. And then the CEO, Alain, told me, okay, let's work together. And then I take the whole process. That we start with the creative part of gathering the needs of the user or the client. Let's say they say, okay, I want to treat the pain relief for lower back. Then I come up with ideas and get the user experience of how people interact when they have lower back pain, what they usually do, how they stretch, or in which situations they have it. Then I come up with, okay, we should use a flexible device, should have these materials, this kind of shape, and so on. Then the R&D team produces a prototype. I check the quality, design, lights, and finally I make sure to create a marketing campaign. If it is going to be through Facebook, we're going to launch it like with a special PR and then follow up and so on. So I take the whole concept and the whole device from beginning to end, which makes it very nice because you can see that the flow is going and the people get the idea. And when they ask me anything about the device, I'm totally in love with it and I believe in it and I'm using it. So they're like, okay, if this guy is using it and he's so excited, then we can trust him.
But building and designing actual physical devices itself seems like it's adding a few additional challenges to what you might consider traditional product management, or certainly traditional digital product management. So if I'm a digital product manager, I can release whenever I want. If it's broken, I can patch it. It's just lines of code. And obviously there's work to do and a lot of work to do, but the barrier to getting that out into people's hands and to update it and keep it current is much lower. But with physical stuff, you're distributing around, obviously, a big country like China as well. Doesn't that make everything just a little bit more complicated?
At the beginning, it was complicated. But, I mean, most of my background is digital, web, app, or systems. But at the end, it's similar. You start with the user experience. You start with doing user journeys and so on. Instead of taking it as a digital product, you take it as something they use. They're still using it, and they're going to click it. And they are going to put it around in different situations. After that, they use the same. In a software, you will make a prototype that basically works with a couple of things that you can make some assumptions and then you can try. And you create a prototype that, okay, only will start a red light when you click. Okay, if it is comfortable to use, does it feel nice in my hands? Is the material okay? No, okay, wait, we still can change it. And the same, we go step by step, iteration by iteration, until we have like a normal prototype that looks decent. And then we try with somebody completely new that they never has seen it. And we said, okay, what do you feel when you use this? How will you use it? If you read the manual, what do you understand? So the thing is, even though I do this because I have my design background and so on, the FDA is required you to do this. You gotta make studies where you put people that hasn't seen the device, that has nothing to do with you, and they got to check the manual, the box, and they need to answer questions like, okay, do you get the restrictions or the cautions of the product and so on. So it's really similar. It's really similar to making it in a digital way because you still always can redo it, or you can add and remove things, and you got to try. I believe I have become a better web and app designer by making products. It gives me overview of a lot of things I wasn't considering before, a lot of tests that I wasn't not even thinking before.
But is this something that, for example, 3D printing has really helped with, because you can start to push out really quick prototypes. I mean, and I guess the question would be whether those would be useful because, of course, you're saying about kind of the feeling in your hands and I guess the weight and like how you'd interact with it and stuff. Like, is 3D printing helpful for that, or is it not quite good enough to help you actually make meaningful progress with prototypes that you actually have to show to real people?
It is useful. Yeah, as you said, to measure how it feels, just general feeling. It will be useful for the engineers to have an idea of what you want to do. Because we have the same issue for a designer, a developer, and designer and engineer. Okay, in my mind, I see a device, I know how it works, but then I need to explain to engineers, this is what I want. I want that when I touch here, I get the light, and the light should be in this angle. The same when a designer is like, okay, I visualize the website like this, but you gotta code it in that way. So the 3D is like, let's say the digital prototype, Figma file, let's say that you can give to the engineers and the people and say, okay, look, it should look like this. And I made it this size because you can see it fits my hand, or I'm planning to put it on my back. So it should be flexible in this way and so on. So yeah, 3D printing is amazing for that. Recommend it.
But you started out, you got a bachelor's in computer science before you moved into product management and user experience product design. So you've obviously got a very technical background.
Yep.
And it's not an unknown path for people to go from computer science into product, for example. But what was it that specifically got you into product management, design, and so forth in the first place? Like, what gave you that bug? Have you always been a very design-focused person, or did that come to you in your career?
So I can say I have been a very creative person since early teenage years. And the thing is, I started, developing software very young for big companies. And then I was like, okay, why everything looks so ugly? Why everything is so hard to use? Yeah, and I remember always saying, okay, every time I see a new software, I need somebody to explain it because they haven't used it for years and they know everything. But every single time there's somebody new, they need to find out everything again. So I tried to make things prettier. I tried to make things useful, and clients were happy. Companies were happy. Suddenly, all this UX thing came up, and I was like, okay, it has a name. What I have been doing has a name, and people just recognize it. That's nice. So I start to move more towards that rather than development, because I feel related, and I feel like more people were doing it, and things were changing. So I was like, okay, I don't have time to go full-time development and full-time design. I feel more passion in these user experience things and user interface, so I'll just move forward. But the fact that I have the technical background, it gives me a lot of advantage because I can understand the language of the designer and the language of the coder, programmer, or developer. And that makes the teams happy. Usually there is always like a gap between what the design wants and what the developer can do. When I'm designing or reviewing the design of somebody, I'm already thinking, okay, can we do this in the technology? If not, okay, what is the best way to give the feedback to both sides? So I say it's pretty useful that I did it that way.
Yeah, that's interesting, but not all developers are going to have that much of a design eye. And obviously you've said that you kind of saw these things and you wanted to improve them, but it's not necessarily the case that you're going to be able to do that.
Yeah.
Because you might not have design skills, for example. So was that something that you just picked up as you went along, or did you have to really train it up?
So I kind of understood some part of the designs and why just by making software. After that, a couple of simple courses in user interface, and the rest was just by doing and trying. I'm making different UIs, and I see, okay, people start to like this, people don't like this too much, or there are trends using this. Again, okay, I should place the buttons in this way. And then I remember the UX laws appear, and I was like, okay, yeah, this is just the worst of what I was doing. Things like don't give too much options to the user, or similar things should be grouped in very close to each other. So it was more like try and error, which is amazing. I always tell the people you need to learn how to study and make things by yourself. I'm not saying education is wrong. It's just that you can get framed in what the teacher thinks or what they like. But when you learn by yourself, you just need to discover. And when you discover these things, you do it in the right way. So it's good to have the proper education, plus just research, going into the wilderness and see, okay, let me try these things. Because then you go open with an open mind and you try things that probably they won't tell you to try.
Yeah, I think that school of hard knocks type approach is definitely something that resonates with me. It's definitely the way that I've come up into product management, for example, from my own development career. So it's really interesting. And I think I agree with you as well that the idea that education in itself is a very valuable thing. But yeah, just making sure that you're not just relying on that, but that you get a lot of practical experience as well. But you're from Costa Rica originally, and then you moved over to China back in, I think, around about 2016. So that's a big move. What was it that led you to China in the first place?
I mean, I have been a bit crazy all over my life, trying new things. So yeah, many years ago, I decided I have been in love with the Asian culture since I'm a kid. So I was like, okay, we should try Asia. Why not? It's a big, bold move. So let's try it. So I came here just to, as a tourist, take a look around and get to know more about the culture. And then I received a job offer in China. And I was like, okay, why not? The team looks nice. Was an app for traveling. And I was like, hey, let's give it a try. And then when I came to China, I just fell in love with the whole country. I was in Hangzhou at that time, and I fell in love with the city, the people, and everything. And since then, I was like, no, I'm going to make China my new home. And every single day, I love it. I love it for two reasons. One, because it always takes me away from that comfort zone. Every day, I'm going to face a challenge. I need to learn a new language, new culture, new people, new food, everything. So I believe it makes me a better professional by being out of the comfort zone every single day. And second, it's outstanding. I mean, it's an astounding country full of technology opportunities and a mindset that I love. A mindset of always keep moving forward.
But China has a whole bunch of censorship and internet restrictions going on. And obviously, we're not going to go into the rights and wrongs in that because we don't want to get you into trouble. But obviously, one that really hit us over the head when we first connected was, say, for example, Google. You know, you can't use Google in China. We tried to use Google Meet, didn't work very well.
Mm-hmm.
But you're a designer, and there's lots of design tools these days that are all online, you know, SaaS tools themselves, right? So did you find that when you got there and when you've started to work in China or as you've progressed in your career over there, that any of those tools haven't really worked out for you and you've had to find local alternatives, or have you been pretty free to use whatever it is that you wanted?
So most of the time, I'm free to use the tools I like or that I'm used to it. Yeah, I wish somebody told me it was restriction when I came here. I really didn't know, and nobody warned me. But the good thing is they do it because they want to promote the local market. And yeah, there's a similar tool or similar platform for every Western platform. And actually, they are amazing. They are amazing. After some time, you get used to it, and then you liked it. And if I go back to my country or I travel, I miss them. Because even the way that we pay online, and I don't even remember last time I had my wallet. And it's comfortable. Yeah, and messages and so on. So you're always going to find an alternative that works nice, that works here and overseas. And yeah, at least in design, most of the tools works too. Not too many restrictions. Also for code and management, it's all good. It's most about like maybe social media and a couple of like Google. So it's okay. It's actually very fine.
And I've spoken to a number of people on this podcast already talking about some of the, let's call it idiosyncrasies of product management in their market and how much it differs from Silicon Valley, for example, and some of the stuff that we read in the books.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously before this call, we were talking about how in China there's a very distinct product or startup working culture that's probably even more different to what's in those books compared to maybe what some of those other people were talking about in other Western countries. So what are some of the hallmarks that you would call out or differences that you would see in the way that, for example, a Chinese startup would build a product versus, say, a Western startup?
Yeah. Excellent question. So let's say I'm working for a startup, a Western startup, and we will come up with the timelines, maybe a Gantt chart, set up, how the MVP is going to be, how many functions we need to add. After that, we're going to put in a test site and invite some people, but for sure we need to have this and that and so on. And then let's say we have 3 months to do it. We probably ended up in 4 or 5 months. because you always get delay. And by that 6 months, you have a product. Nice. Yeah. When it comes to China, they just put a team and they say, okay, you have 2 weeks to do something. And we need to present something in 2 weeks. Even if it is only one function and it's just fill up your name and receive an email, that's it. But we need to do it in 2 weeks. And then when I came here and I was working, I was like, wow, but in 2 weeks we cannot do too much. And they say, wait, we don't care, but we need to release something. So after some time, I totally get it. Let's say for the Western example, maybe we plan 10 functions or 10 features, and the user always ended up using 2 or 3. By making and releasing a version every 2 weeks, you can already cut which are the features that you're not going to use and which ones are working. So if you can find out those 3 or 4 functions that everybody's going to use at the beginning, you won't even bother and continue doing it. This is already doing what you need. And then you can polish those ones and get more users. So I remember we release it every 2 weeks. We test a lot. We see, okay, people not using it. Don't even think about it. Just remove it. And it was pretty cold like that. And it's like, no, but it's a nice function. No, remove it. They're not going to use it. So that's why they develop so fast. Because it's like, okay, for example, payment methods, they like to pay with this. Okay, just put another button. Okay, they don't scan. Okay, then just put this and so on. So development is fast, no assumptions, no pretty things. They go like pretty raw. Let's throw things and test it. And that's why they produce so many things. Because I nowadays I try to combine both. Maybe not 2 weeks, maybe 1 month to release something. But for sure, you gotta test. You gotta test, and you just gotta see what's going on and how people receives it, because that helps you a lot as a product manager, and also helps a lot the product. We also do it with the devices. When we make a light therapy device, I said simple prototype. Okay, throw it. Do they feel comfortable? Do they feel it's too heavy? Can they get the lights? Do they feel wrong? So we can change it on time. I would recommend the Western startups try to release faster. That really useful.
Well, it's interesting though, because actually what you've just described could be considered like a really extreme version of the lean startup, right?
Yep.
Like the whole idea behind the lean startup is to do the minimum amount of work possible to try and get some kind of validation of your idea and, work out what next and to build iteratively and so forth. But it seems like what you're describing is even more carnage than that could be, because ultimately the lean startup would probably be fine with a 2-week MVP, for example, if you could actually get something that was viable. But the approach that you've described sounds like from time to time you might come up with something that's not particularly viable because of time constraints or whatever else. Has that been an issue, like when you've had to do this and maybe the thing that you put out is just not enough to know anything?
It becomes an issue, but I will say it's a personal issue. You don't want to release things that are not completed. I mean, you as a product manager, you feel like, all right, I don't feel comfortable throwing this because I know it's going to fail. I know it's going to get broken if somebody clicks here. But again, it just works. It's just like a shortcut, and you sacrifice a couple of bad user experience, but it works. Even if it is something simple, you are always managed to release something. It's like if you have 3 weeks to do something, probably you're going to end up doing the last 3 days. So by knowing that you need to release always something in 2 weeks, you kind of manage the time. You say, okay, I have these 3 priorities. For sure, I can only make one. And just make it right. Forget about the rest.
And when it comes to user research then, and actually taking this out to people and showing them and trying to get that feedback so you can identify what's coming next, do you find that the locals are very kind of open and willing to give that feedback, or are they kind of trying to save your feelings, like the cliche that we get over here, which would be like, yeah, if you ask someone if they like it, they're just going to say yes? I mean, is that the same with Chinese interviewees, or are they very forthright?
No, as I said, the mindset here, it's amazing. They are eager to try new things. If you say, okay, I'm working this project because I want to do this, it's okay, give it to me. And they will be pretty straightforward, like, okay, this look like shit. But you know what? I like it. I can use it. Try next time to remove these things, or I would like to have this, or I don't feel good. But they are always eager to see what's coming, and they are very friendly to foreigners. So if you go out, what I like to do is just go like to coffee shops, see people that is like kind of doing something but not too busy and ask them to try it. And they're like, yeah, sure. And pretty straightforward, relaxed, like, yeah, this looks like shit. But it's okay. So it's nice. It's nice. I think it will be hard to find that in overseas.
Yeah, I was going to say, if you went to some of the people I've worked with in my career and told them that what they were working on looked like shit, they'd probably either punch you or quit their job. So
yeah,
it's good to know that you can get that kind of honest feedback and use that. And I guess, like you say, if you're iterating that quickly, it feels that you need that kind of feedback, because otherwise you're not going to get anything out of those 2-week sprints or 2-week releases. So you kind of touched on it yourself around the kind of 2 to 4 week thing and maybe trying to push the envelope a little bit with regards to timing. But are you in any way having any effect then on, in some ways, advocating some of the more traditional Silicon Valley style, book style learnings over to the Chinese product management arena? Or have you basically become a convert and you're completely all in for this new approach? I mean, you seem pretty keen on it from what we've said so far. So is this the future and you'd rather bring that back to America as an approach, or do you think some kind of hybrid approach would be the best way forward?
Yeah, I would say it's always good to combine both sides, the best of each other. When I get hired by Western companies, I always come up with like something in between, and I explain why, and I tell them, okay, just look at this example if we're running it this way. But definitely we cannot follow the book. Otherwise it takes months, and then you try and it's not going to work. So I like to see when I explain these type of things to the stakeholders and they're like, okay, actually makes sense. Let's do it that way. It feels good. So I'll say, yeah, we should move forward. Like, hey, how can we all understand and work together, get something in between, maybe not so harsh and not so too weak, because some things just require time. I mean, you cannot deliver a baby in 1 month. You still need 9 months, right? So there's just things. I mean, there are things that it's going to take some time. But definitely you want the baby in 9 months, not more. So
I think we'll try and stretch that analogy out a little bit if we can. But you've described yourself as passionate about public speaking. And I know you've given at least one Tedx talk. So I guess I'm going to break all the rules of interviewing and ask more than one question at once. So how did you get into Tedx? What was the topic? And how did it go?
Yeah, I love to speak in public because I think I'm like too passionate about design, and then people can see that I get excited and I try to inspire people. So I started doing design thinking workshops here in China. I did one for a hospital, then for WeWork I did 2. And then for a university, and people start to love it, and they feel my good energy. We play games to solve some problems, or they call me with the specific needs, and I came up with a special type of game. So they were like, okay, this is a different approach. He's not telling us what to do. He's letting us know and find out what is our problem, and by ourselves we can find a better solution with his guidance. Then one of the principals was in one of the workshops and told me, I want you to go and speak in the university. We have the Tedx program. We are certified and I would like to have you there. He told me the topic is about change, and it's about, okay, we move from a university to the real life. What we like to talk about. So my topic is don't follow your dreams. And then every time I said it, I was like, what are you talking about? Everybody tells you that you should follow your dreams. So the idea behind is that dreams and passion and this type of thing that always people tell you it's just bullshit. Because before I was passionate about burgers, and I love burgers and I wanted to eat burgers every day, but no, seriously, I love burgers. They make it very nice here. But someday I'm just like, man, I cannot eat another burger. I need a break. So what I was trying to explain is to these students that they were about to graduate is just don't get focused too much on, okay, what is my passion? What should I do? I want to love my work and so on. More like, okay, life is a process. Passion is a feeling change. What you like today, maybe you don't like it tomorrow. And I told them about my journey in design, and why I love design is because I'm good at it. That doesn't mean design was my passion. That doesn't mean I love design all my life. But because I'm good at it and I keep doing it, I get good feedback. It makes me fulfilled that I can fill up projects. And then that's how I become a better professional, by making myself useful for the people in something I'm good. It is my passion. Well, yeah, I love it, but that doesn't mean every day is my passion. But I get fulfillment, and then have a good life is about feeling fulfillment. I cannot feel happy 100% of the day. And I get stressed with design sometimes, and then people want this and I don't want that. But at the end of the day, I feel fulfilled. And that was the TED Talk. Was about, okay, life is about feeling fulfilled, how design helped me in that. And don't concentrate too much in your passion dreams. More, okay, what are you good at?
Yeah, I guess it's easier to be passionate about things that you enjoy because you are good at them, right? Like if everything's a struggle, it's quite hard to be passionate about it.
Yeah.
I mean, that's not always true, because sometimes the struggle is in some ways like, you know, the journey can be the reward on its own. Mm-hmm. But yeah, it's obviously much more fulfilling to be good at something. But I guess as long as you've worked hard to get there, then that probably holds true. And you said before this call you want to inspire people to try new things. So what's one new thing you've tried recently, and how was it?
Yeah, so let's get back to light therapy, because it's easy to use as an example. As I said, what was the last time you saw a sunrise? Then I ask you, Jason, what was the last time you saw a sunrise?
Well, what, the actual act of the sun coming over the horizon?
Yeah.
I can't actually think of any time that I've seen a sunrise. I've definitely seen the sun set.
Yeah, no, that's the thing. So simple. I like, okay, why you don't wake up one day and see the sunrise? And then, okay, do it. And then just do it barefoot. What was the last time you went outside barefoot, for example?
Yesterday.
That's good. That's good there. And then when it comes with design, same thing. Usually when we get a problem, we got into it, we jump, start making shapes, colors, and so on. I would say try something different. When you have a new design challenge, take a break. Go away. Let your mind be clear. Put some white on your mind and let some space for things to come up. I found out that the best designers are the ones who take some time to let the mind process the problem. It's the same. You feel bad. Don't think about the medicine. Think about, okay, am I in a good position? Am I sleeping well? Am I eating enough? Right? When you get a headache, it's like, okay, I gotta go and get medicines from the pharmacy. I gotta get a painkiller or so on. Instead of saying, okay, am I drinking enough water? Maybe I drank too much yesterday. I should drink less. Yeah, that happens. Or maybe I should eat better. So it's just about seeing the world in another way. That's why I like always people to say, just go and see the sunrise. I mean, it's something that we have every day. Just give it for granted. And it feels so nice. You get red light, you get infrared light, and a lot of blue light makes you feel awake, makes you feel good, you feel warm. And that gives you a boost that nothing can give you, not even coffee, a Red Bull or whatever. It's just natural boost. And it works pretty fine. So as I said, okay, designers, developers, when you get the biggest challenge, just take a break. And then general people, try to find what are you doing wrong. That's why you get sick. And just go outside more.
Well, going outside more is obviously something we should all encourage, especially as we come out of the current situation in all the cities around the world. So fingers crossed for them people. And where can people find you if they want to chat more after this about design or light therapy or taking a break?
Sure. So yeah, I love taking a break with coffee. So always welcome to share a coffee with me. They can find me in my website, lastrescarlos.com. Also, you can find me by thewizardcarlos.com. And then to know more about light therapy, KaiyanMedical.com. I'm always writing new articles about it. You guys know, okay, I'm a software engineer, design, and master degree. Nothing to do with light therapy, and I believe in it because it works and it's nice. So I will be there always inspiring and encourage people to try it.
Fair enough. I'll make sure that's linked into the show notes, and hopefully you'll get a few orders.
Excellent.
Through the post or however you take them. Well, that's been a fantastic chat. So obviously really appreciate you taking the time. And I know it's really late there as well. So I'm hoping you get to
put your head down now and take a rest yourself. Hopefully we can stay in touch. But yeah, as for now, thanks for taking the time.
Oh, thanks to you, Jason. It's my pleasure, and I hope everybody enjoyed it.
Thanks for listening. I hope you found the episode inspiring and insightful. If you did, there's plenty more where that came from, so again, head over to the website onenightinproduct.com, where you can hear episodes from thought leaders and practitioners. Make sure to sign up and share with your friends so you and they can never miss another episode again. I'll be back soon, but as for now, thanks and good night.